Alright, today we're going to take a look at an interesting little knife. And this video is brought to us by Twinkies, and not just any Twinkies, but chocolate Twinkies. These are one of the better ones. Kind of reminds me of a Paul McCartney tune, but I can't remember what it's all about. Also, Four Roses Bourbon. It's Kentucky Straight Bourbon. Whiskey with an E, 40% by volume, well, 40% alcohol, so that makes it 80 proof. That is some good stuff. So let's take a look at this knife. It is the CJRB from CJRB Cutlery. And the label, as you can see, where it's made. Let's see if we can get this thing open. And it comes in a pretty chintzy little box. It's just cardboard, probably recycled rice paper. And it came with a desiccant bag. Also, it was wrapped in just a little plastic bag, no padding, very cheaply done. That's a disappointment. So this is the CJRB-Tigris, and it is a cleaver, and it is a flipper design, but it's got no traction on the flipper button there, or lever, whatever you want to call it. And it is a Warncliffe or a cleaver style. It's on very smooth ball bearings, and they are ceramic ball bearings, so it comes out really smooth. Actually, I really like the design of this thing. So it's got a liner lock, kind of hard to get at, but not really terrible. And the one flaw I picked up right away was, if you can see that little outcropping from the scales, that is a really sharp edge right there. You can see how it hooks onto my little glove. It's a really sharp edge. But since these scales are G10, I'm just going to grind that down with a file. Should be real easy to grind down. You can see it sticking out there. So that's not too great. And the scales, like I said, are G10, but it's actually a 4-layer scale configuration. There's the black ones on the bottom, or closest to the liners, and then there's a blue, kind of a blue-gray on top of that. It's a nice design, and you can see this is a good example of seeing the G10 layering. Let's see. This is a real good example of seeing the G10. You can actually count the 10 layers on the blue-gray scale part and on the black part. So it's got a deep carry pocket clip, which is pretty nice, not too stiff. That's good. And it's got a red spacer back there, and I believe that's aluminum. I couldn't get any steel reaction with a magnet, so yeah, it's aluminum. And there's a lanyard hole. Also makes a good bone breaker if you hold it right. Really nice. It's got a flow-through design mostly, and it's got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, looks like 3 cutouts on one side of the liner lock or the liners. They're about penny size, yeah. 3 of them. Takes away a little bit of the weight. Now its overall length of this thing, I can find a ruler. The overall length of this CJRB-Tigris is, looks like about 8 1/4. The finger choil on this thing is not, if you use it as a finger choil, it's a little bit too small. I don't think they really meant that for a finger choil, but it's very small. So the overall length is 8 1/4. The blade, the sharp part of the blade is, looks like 3 1/2. So that's a good length of blade, to a useful part of the blade. And it is a full flat ground blade. You can see that. Very flat. And it's a wide blade. That is about 1 1/2 inches, almost down to the tip, where it goes down to about 1 1/4. So it's quite a wide, not thick, but wide. And the weight on this thing is 5.3 ounces. And as far as traction notches, it's got nothing. These are not traction notches. These on the scales, these cutouts are kind of nice. Give you a little bit of traction, but no other traction notches on this thing, which is kind of a disappointment. Alright, on the blade markings, you can see, of course, that's the CJRB logo. And on the other side, we find the serial number, which is, it looks like J1919. And the blade steel is AR RPM 9. And that starts out as a powder. And this thing is coated in what they're calling PVD. Now I looked PVD up. I thought it might be something like Teflon. But the only thing I could find was its physical vapor deposition or deposition. I don't know what that means or what it does, but it evidently keeps the blade protected, kind of like Teflon. And the only comparison I'm going to make with this one is a knife I bought in 2015. This is the Kershaw Knockout. It's about the same size. I think that's been, let's see, 7 years ago I bought this knife. This is one of the best Kershaws. It's a whole lot thinner. It's about the same weight. But the best thing about this is it's made in the USA. And it's really nice. It's got that help assisted opening on this. That's a nice one. It's about the same size as the CRJB, but not quite. Okay, let's do a cut test on this Tigris. We're just going to use some computer paper. Now this thing really feels sharp. I used it a little bit. That is really, really sharp. So that is really good from the factory. Passes the sharpness test on the paper. Let's try it on some heavy duty Red Baron Classic Crust Supreme pizza paper or cardboard. That's nice. So it passes the cut test on paper and cardboard, which is always a good thing. And that is the CJRB-Tigris. That's a nice one. But today I'm going to give some cowbell to Twinkies, made in the USA, Four Roses Bourbon, made in the USA, and the Kershaw Knockout, also made in the USA. Knuckle bop.